Good morning. My name is Ebony, and today I'll be talking about the Mexican War. So, the Mexican War lasted about 2 years, from 1846 to 1848. However, the consequences of the war lasted a lifetime. So, let's talk about what led up to the Mexican War. So, the first thing is the Texas annexation. Mexico had warned it would regard annexation as an act of war, but when it took place, Mexico did not declare war, but broke diplomatic relations. There was the boundary dispute, and the border of Texas was formed by the Rio Grande, but Mexico argued that the traditional boundary was at the Nueces River farther north. There was also this manifest destiny mentality. President Polk clearly wanted to expand the country to the Pacific Ocean by taking control of California and land in the Southwest. This is a prime example of prevailing manifest destiny mentality. There was also the Monterrey claims against Mexico. The United States had extracted a promise from the Mexican government to pay $3 million to cover the claims of American citizens who had lost property during turmoil and revolution. Mexico defaulted on those payments, and the American creditors pressed their government for action. The Texas annexation leading the Mexican War. Mexico warns the U.S. about war if annexation proceeded, and although the U.S. knew the consequences, they moved forward with the annexation anyway. And in 1844, James K. Polk campaigned for presidency, looking forward to expanding territory in which it contained the annexation of Texas. James became president, and he sent a representative to Mexico offering to buy Texas, New Mexico, and California for about $30 million. However, Mexico rejected that offer. Why was Mexico angry about the U.S. annexation of Texas in the first place? Mexico feared that a domino effect would occur, that giving up Texas would lead them to losing their other northern countries, so keeping Texas would give them confidence and possession for the rest of the territories. The boundary dispute again, it was a disagreement over Rio Grande. Part of the conflict started over a disagreement about which river was Mexico's true northern border. The Nueces, this is what the Mexicans claimed, or the Rio Grande, this is what the US claimed. Um, so, where the manifest destiny mentality comes into play is the expansionist movement. This movement wanted to expand the US from ocean to ocean to protect against foreign nations. And during the 19th century, Americans also believed that US had a God-given right to expand the whole continent. The desire of Polk wanting to expand its land caused a war as well. Even more when Polk offered to buy as much of the southwestern lands, this created tension. So some major battles during the war was one, the Battle of Buena Vista. This is February 22nd through the 23rd of 1847. The Battle of Buena Vista, while being one of the largest battles of the war, also served as a sign for things to come during the short war. 261 Americans died in the battle, and the Mexicans lost 591 soldiers. There was also the Battle of Molino del Rey. This happened in September 8, 1847, and this was the bloodiest battle of the war. Next, we have the Siege of Pueblo de Taos. This is February 3rd through the 5th of 1847. And the Taos Revolt forced the Americans to think more carefully about occupation and annexation and earned the citizens of New Mexico a seat at the table in Washington when it came to divvy up the spoils of the war. The next is the Battle of Cerro Gordo. This occurred on April 18th, 1847. This battle was successful that several towns are named after it. These towns are, for example, Iowa, North Carolina, and Illinois. There was also the Siege of Veracruz. So this happened in March 9th all the way to the 29th of March in 1847. This one ended with an American victory. The victory helped the Americans establish themselves deep in Mexican territory and paved a relatively clear path toward the Mexican capital. So the end result of the war, The war ended in February 2nd, 1848, and Mexico signed the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. This treaty adds an additional 525,000 square miles to the U.S., including the lands that makes part of the present-day Arizona, California, Colorado, Nevada, Utah, and Wyoming. And that is the end of my presentation over the Mexican War.